If you're tired of living a life where you give everything you have to other people and you're exhausted from saying yes when you actually want to say no, this video is for you, because today we're going to talk about what it truly means to love yourself and what are the actions that you can take on a daily basis. Hi, my name is Remy. Welcome to my channel. I help women step into their power, remember who they truly are. This is my journal. We're going to talk about it in a second. First, I want us to talk about what self-love really means. A lot of people have this conception that self-love is vanity, it's shallow, it's selfish, and I want to call BS on that, because self-love is knowing who you are. How knowing who you are is selfish? How accepting who you are is selfish? It's not. Knowing who you are is the greatest thing that you can ever do to yourself and to everybody else around you, to your kids, to your husband, to your friends, to your family. Because when you know who you truly are, when you know what your needs are, when you know what you're supposed to do in the world, isn't the world going to be a better place? Aren't you going to be nicer to everybody around you? Aren't you going to be able to give so much more than you're giving now? I love to give this example with this cup. Look at this cup. Now I'm going to drink it and it's going to be empty. How am I able to give to other people if my cup is empty? How? I won't be able to give them. And even if I give them now, I have like very tiny little bit. So what happens if I give them from this and then I'm thirsty? What happens then? I cannot drink. In the airplane, they say in a case of an emergency, God forbid, you put your own mask first before you can help other people. Guess what? It makes so much sense, because if you start helping other people and God forbid something happens to you, how can you be helpful? How can you help other people if you cannot help yourself? If you're, God forbid, having a crisis, how? There's no even a possibility to do so. And the step-by-step actions that we're going to take in a moment are so simple, because when you understand that you're the main character, you're the best thing in your life, you're the biggest resource in your life, and if you're not taking care of you, you're not able to take care of anybody else. So I have here a little list where I'm going to share with you the steps that I took. Before we go into it, I want to say you're not too old. You're not too old to figure it out. You're not too old to start taking care of yourself. When I first started taking care of myself and loving myself was around 36, 37-year-old. I had a huge crisis. My grandfather passed away. I broke up with a guy after a very toxic relationship, was able to heal from that. And I realized that most of my relationships with men were actually a mirror to how I treat myself, because I went out with guys that wanted to change me. I went out with people that did not accept who I am. I have a big personality, I'm very colorful, I'm very loud, and I hung out with men that wanted to change that. And guess what? It was toxic, because they did not accept who I was. And the reason they did not accept who I was because I didn't accept who I was. Once I realized that other people can only accept me to the extent that I accept me, that's when things really shifted for me. So I started practicing self-love around 36-year-old. When I started, it was so freaking hard. And the reason it was hard, and it might be hard for you too, is because I grew up as a people pleaser. I grew up in a household that I understood that I need to be quiet and I need to be small in order to get love, or maybe not to interrupt everybody else, and making everything around me better while I will be quiet and won't speak about my needs or speak about what I want. And it's truly BS, because when I shrinked myself down for other people, not only did I hurt myself, but I hurt the people I love. And the reason you're hurting people you love when you don't accept yourself or you don't love yourself is you don't show them who you really are. They don't even know who they love, because guess what? You're not showing them. So here are the steps that I took and I still take to this day, because it's a practice. The world comes up with their nonsense around you, and guess what? The more you grow, the more you understand yourself, the more the universe will bring up all kinds of mirrors around you to really strengthen and get stronger with your boundaries, with your self-love, with your self-respect and acceptance. So the first step is to understand that you want to befriend yourself. You want to be your own best friend. And the biggest question you want to ask yourself to recognize if you are your best friend is to listen to your inner talk, listen into your inner chatter, and ask yourself a question of, if this was my best friend telling me this about herself right now, would I be speaking to her like that? If this was my daughter, if this was my sister, if this was my mother, would I be telling her the things I tell myself? If the answer is no, then boom, you gotta switch it. You want to understand that you are your own biggest fan. Once you make it a goal to be a friend to yourself, then all the next steps that we're going to talk about are going to fall into place. The second step is to journal. And I showed you my journal. This is the one I use now. I have tons of journals because this is my coping mechanism. I started when I was around 11, helped me work through life. And there's a concept that's called rage on the page, where you just first thing in the morning, you just write your pages, morning pages, whatever you want to call it, and you take out all the garbage, you take out all the emotions, and you just simply start writing, how do I feel today? Oh, I feel like this, and you let things out so you clear your vessel, you clear your mind, you clear your heart to receive divine guidance. Here's a hack for you if you don't like journaling. Record yourself either on your memo app on your phone, or better yet, and I've done that too, and it was the most helpful thing ever. It's like giving yourself therapy, opening up your computer. I mean, you can do it on your phone, but I did it with my computer. Literally, record yourself speaking. No text, no script, no whatever. Just talk to yourself. Be like, hey, I woke up today, I feel like shit. Next is mirror work. Mirror work is so simple, yet so profound. And I can tell you personally, it saved my life. I had back then a horrible job that I really just needed to leave, and practicing the mirror work just saved my life. So the mirror work is based on Louise Hay work. It's basically just going to the mirror and talking to yourself. Louise Hay talks about looking at yourself in the eyes in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. Now, I'm telling you at the beginning, it could be really hard, because if you're not used to loving yourself, it's really hard. It was really hard for me. However, I made a commitment because I realized that if the biggest thing that I wanted was a partner, how can I expect somebody else to love me if I cannot even tell myself I love you? So I made it a practice, and I started practicing. I went to the mirror every single day, a couple times a day, looked myself in the eye and said, I love you. And now it's become like my superpower. Every time I have a decision I need to make, every time something happens that kind of triggers me, I go to the mirror, I'm like, hey, what's up? I love you. We got this. And again, you're being your own best friend. This is what you would do for your best friend, right? So why not do it for yourself? The next thing you want to do is start honoring your own word. Start keeping promises to yourself. If you tell yourself, tomorrow I'm going to drink enough water, you got to drink enough water. If you tell yourself, I am going to work out 3 times a week, you gotta work out 3 times a week. And it's not from the place of pushing yourself, it's more about keeping promises to yourself, because keeping promises to your friend, let's say, builds trust. Imagine a friend that says, oh, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. She doesn't call. Next day, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. She doesn't call. 5 days in a row, 6 months, she keeps on promising she'll show up, but she never shows up. Do you trust her? Of course not. You don't want to even be her friend. So the same thing for yourself. If you don't keep promises to yourself, what happens is you signal your brain, your mind, that you're not trustworthy, that you can't trust your own word. So start keeping your own promises. This is very, very simple, but it's so huge. All these steps that we're talking about, you don't have to do them all. If you do them all, they're all going to support you with loving yourself more and more every day. However, if you're just starting out, take it one thing at a time. Get into the habit of doing one thing at a time. Immerse yourself in it and continue to the next one. And remember, the biggest goal is to befriend yourself. Be your own best friend. That's really what it's all about. The next thing is this audiobook, How to Love Yourself by Louise Hay. I probably listened to this book over 100 times. And the reason you want to listen to content or this audiobook or things that are speaking to you about self-love is because you want to immerse yourself in this habit. You want your brain, your mind to normalize the fact that loving yourself is good. Because again, If you grew up anything like me, loving yourself was never a thing. Nobody talked about it. Nobody told me, oh, you should love yourself. It would be great. And especially if you saw your people around you, the grown-ups, your mother, your dad, your people who brought you up, if you've seen them not loving on themselves, most chances are you did not pick up on that, because obviously as kids, we absorb what the older people around us are doing, right? So obviously if you haven't seen them loving themselves, or even worse, if they hated on themselves, which was my case, then you'll probably have a very negative self-talk. So you want to immerse yourself in content that lifts you up, kind of normalizing the idea of loving yourself. Repetition is key, because you want to imprint it in your subconscious mind that it's okay to love yourself. It's more than okay to love yourself. It's like the highest goal of this whole concept of being human. The next thing, and this is for my beauties, my ladies, listen. When you love on yourself, when you immerse yourself in feminine energy, we both have feminine, masculine. When you immerse yourself in the feminine energy, when you treat yourself good, when you put on lotion, when you put sexy music that makes you feel luxurious and luscious and attractive, when you do that, oh my goodness, you want to show yourself love. You want to show yourself acknowledgement. You want to be your lover. You want to love on yourself, because this, oh my God, listen, this is the secret. The things that I did back in the day, and I still do now, were every Friday I used to go to the grocery store and I used to buy myself flowers, and I used to come back home and I put the flowers in the vase and I played nice music and I lifted my own vibes. And I imagined back then how it would be like to find a partner that buys me flowers every week. Now granted, my partner buys me flowers not every week, we need to work on that, but he does buy me flowers and we have flowers every week in the house, and it's so nice and beautiful. So get into the habit of treating yourself nicely. It could be even a cup of coffee. It doesn't need to be flowers. It needs to be something that makes you feel like you're spoiling yourself, even if it's $5. It's not that crazy. Another thing you can do is start dating yourself. Take yourself out on a date. Go to a restaurant, go to the movies. Do something that makes you feel like you are loved and you're being pursued by yourself. This is a life hack. If you want to dive deeper, I have down below a free guide with 3 Kabbalistic tools that can help you dive deeper into your own self-love practice. Let me know in the comments below which one of these steps you connected to most and which one are you about to start implementing into your life. I love you. Self-love is the highest form of love that you can give yourself and to the world.